You're listening to our social newscast brought to you by socialtv.co.za. I'm Sam Marshall. In our conversation today, we chat to Cristianne Wendler, strategic advisor at Shout It Now. We talk about Chomi, the chatbot that brings tech to the fight against gender-based violence and femicide.
For the benefit of our audience, talk to us a little bit about Shout It Now and your mandate.
Great. As you say, yes, Shout It Now has been around since 2007, and we are an organization that is very much focused on young people. So in particular, adolescent girls and young women, because that is who is most impacted, whether we're talking about HIV or gender-based violence, which are two of the main issues that we focus on. So we have mobile clinics that we operate in Northwest and Gauteng, and those mobile clinics are staffed with NEMARC nurses as well as professional social workers and healthcare advisors. And we go out into communities providing sexual reproductive health services and gender-based violence services direct in the communities. So those can consist of contraception, HIV prevention pill prep, which a lot of people aren't aware prevents HIV, as well as then HIV testing and gender-based violence prevention, as well as post-violence care services. And then through our partnership with Community Media Trust, we also do outreach in mostly schools, but a lot of community organizations as well around information and programming for a lot of focus on adolescents, on gender-based violence and HIV prevention.
I don't know if you kind of share the same idea that Chomi's job is to act as an accountability tool to accelerate communication and to then amplify the possibilities of technology. Is there similarities between Chomi's overall objective and the summit that you're at the moment?
No, you're not stretching at all. That's exactly what we want to do. I mean, and particularly focusing on that amplification piece, and that so many survivors don't come forward for the help that they need, whether it be legal, physical help, mental help, because of fear. And that can be fear of the perpetrator, that can be fear of the unknown, what will happen if I speak to someone, that can be fear of judgment, fear of blame, and all of that prevents an individual from getting the really necessary services. And we need to be able to change that. We need to change that dialogue. We need to put information and options in the hands of survivors so that they can be empowered on their own to learn the facts, find out what's right for them, and start to realize they're not alone. They're not to blame, and they do have options. There are people out there who want to support them, who are there for them. And that is what Chomi is designed to do. It's a WhatsApp chatbot. So as you say, it's yes, it's technology, but this isn't high tech. This is just a WhatsApp chatbot. But we are seeing such a fantastic response out of this conference from it, because people are seeing the power that comes from having access to good information and being able to connect in with individuals that you know are there for you.
But I think one of the things that has become such an important conversation in technology is, especially in a country like ours and many other countries, I don't think South Africa is unique on any level. But data obviously is always an important conversation to have around the implementation of technology and how it's accessed. But then Chomi goes for me, which is, and I want to ask the hard and tough questions around data, accessibility, who has access from which vantage point in urban, peri-urban areas, all of that kind of stuff. But before we even get to those questions, I am fascinated by the idea that off the bat, it already deals in English and isiZulu, and you are at the moment developing Setswana and isiXhosa, and we forget that access sometimes mean access in one's own preferred language. That already is part of how we help the victims.
Accessibility is absolutely critical, and Chomi was designed with accessibility for the end user at the forefront. And so that's where, as I say, on one hand, it's low tech in that it is just a WhatsApp chatbot. So yes, technology offers us so many solutions we haven't had before, and we need to explore those and expand those further in the fight against gender-based violence. But it's important to understand who you're designing what for, what problem are you fixing. And so with Chomi, it needed to be very accessible for the end user, because we want, whether it's a young woman in Gauteng or it's a Gogo in Eastern Cape, We wanted it to be a technology that they could interface with, that they understood. And so, as you say, the languages, the multilingual is very unique and very important, but then also it's very easy to follow. My 6-year-old son, I tried it out with him and he was able to follow the prompts that came up on the WhatsApp screen. So I think that it's really important that then you're feeling empowered in this information, you're being presented it, and then you choose how you go through it and how you access it. And so and WhatsApp was chosen because that is a very good and universal mechanism, not universal, there's no singular one that will reach everyone, but a very prevalent mechanism to use.
Yeah, you mentioned your 6-year-old son, and 6-year-old these days are genius level. So I don't know if he's the adequate test for whether this would work, because I haven't met a 6-year-old today that doesn't know how to crack a cell phone in 5 seconds. So I just wanted to maybe touch on the idea as well that the other languages are in development. There was a keen understanding of the end user in mind. But when we talk about the end user, we also know that it's not necessarily a situation of where the end user, with all respect, the person that's the victim of gender-based violence, gets into some kind of physical confrontation. The circumstances might vary from area to area, province to province. I'm happy for you to tell me, Sam, you have no clue what you're talking about. After the attack, then goes onto the platform and says, I need help. And I see that there's about 640 messages, because I'm surely the perpetrator is still in the vicinity. How do you make sure that it's accessible to the victim in a way that doesn't send an alert to the perpetrator?
So that is a really important consideration, and we did factor that into even in the name. So the name Chomi, we wanted a name that did not in any way, it's a very common name. It doesn't conjure any kind of, it wouldn't look unusual. So if the perpetrator picks up your phone and you've been on Chomi there, it doesn't ring an alarm bell. So that is an important factor in how it was designed. The second factor is that at the end of every chat, after you have said, Chomi always ends in every with, is there anything else you want help with? And if you say no, if you say yes, it will take you back to the main menu of options and you can again continue to explore. If you say no, then it comes up and says that we're here anytime and you're welcome to revisit Chomi anytime you want. And then the final message is, if you are afraid to keep this message in your phone, please make sure you go into WhatsApp and delete the chat. So it does alert them to that as well, that if they have that fear, they should be able to clear the chat. So that is important, and it is absolutely important. Intimate partner violence, in any kind of gender-based violence response, it is important to understand that dynamic that could be there between the survivor and the perpetrator, and also to understand in like the situation, the scenario you described, is if that violence has just happened, maybe she wants and needs emergency assistance. And so that is why the first option in the menu is emergency assistance. And that will connect an individual to the national 24-hour emergency hotlines. And that's really important. Chomi is not an emergency response mechanism. It is an empowerment and education tool. And so, but it is important that embedded within that is that an individual does know how to connect if they should need emergency services.
Final question, and thank you for your time. As I contemplate the insights, not only from the lived experience, but obviously from working in this space, I am struck by how many institutions, individuals, organizations actually play a role in the fight against gender-based violence. There are many. What I'm also struck by, Cristianne, is that the institutions, organizations, and individuals don't sing from the same hymn sheet in terms of how to combat the problem. Do we need to invest more in technology? And it's even a question you're asking. And then the president, as you said, acknowledged there's a lot can be done. But how do we measure, and what tools do we use to measure the value of a Chomi chatbot in the fight against gender-based violence that, first of all, another organization that is in the same space can recognize, And how do we get all of you as leaders, institutions, and organizations to now, and very similar to the Avengers, have a collective group and use that to fight gender-based violence as opposed to the silo aspect?
It's a great question, and I do think in the sessions that I've been in this summit is that actually is clear as an area where we need better work and coordination. Is that there definitely seems to be a feeling among many participants that there's a group that know about things, and definitely this comes out in sometimes a provincial divide, and that different provinces aren't as represented as others. And so I do think similar to how the country structured the response to HIV and set up a national, then a provincial and a local structures to combat HIV/AIDS, we really need to look at something similar where it comes to gender-based violence, because it is absolutely critical that we pull together. Reinvention of the wheel is not going to help any of us. Let's collaborate, let's share resources, let's share information, lessons learned, and let's make sure that all provinces are involved and represented, because gender-based violence affects everyone. There's no part of the country that is untouched, and like I say, no part of the globe that is untouched from this. So it was empowering to hear we had representatives from a few different embassies. The First Lady of Namibia was here yesterday, and so again, that brings to light, we need to look within and collaborate within, but also then globally as well, of how we work together to globally end this scourge and address it for what it is. And as you asked before, and I don't know if I fully responded back, is that technology does. There are many ways that technology can be utilized. Chomi is one example, but another example is, what Shout It Now, what we do right now is we have mobile clinics. And when we started this, people said, you're going to put social workers on mobile clinics, but then how will survivors come back to them? And what we've been able to show is we are very successful at serving clients, and we're able to, through a combination of app support, telephonic and in person, we're able to provide comprehensive services, link individuals onto other services for long-term care, as well as if an individual needs counseling services, but then there's a NEMARC nurse there too. So we can then take that individual directly through to the nurse. And so it's just that way of, we do electronic case management, and we do mobile service delivery. That also actually is innovative. And so it's important that we look at technology, we look at innovation of how can we do things different and do things better to change the face of gender-based violence. And to your question about measuring Chomi, so Chomi is anonymous. And so I want to be very careful as I explain this part, because that is a very important key distinction of how Chomi was built. If you, Samm, go on and you explore Chomi, I cannot know what Samm did. I can't tell that you explored, what chats you explored, or any of that. But what I can tell is that a unique individual accessed Chomi. So we track the number of unique individuals that access Chomi. We track the number of returning users, and then we're able to see what are the most common communication, the channels that are the streams of information that are accessed. So right now we can see that gender-based violence, FAQs and information, safety planning, and the connect to support services are our top 3 most accessed streams. So we absolutely are measuring it at a overall usage level. Like I said, I want to be very clear. It's not, I don't want anyone to think we're tracking you on Chomi, because we're not. It's very important that people know that they are safe to explore it. But we do track the overall usage, so that, as you say, it's important to understand, is it making the impact and is it making the right impact? And so we will track usage. We can also track it across and in relation to this conference. How much did we see the usage go up in relation to this conference? So having the data as we go forward in GBV is very important as well. We then kind of give the individual through Gender-Based Violence the Social Development Command Center for GBV, Lifeline and Childline, which are national 24-hour hotlines. So we do still connect them to those services if they request to be connected. The goal in the expansion of Chomi, what we'd like to do in the next phase is actually build a live referral network across the country through Chomi. So regardless of what province you tell me you're in and what district you're in, well, I shouldn't say you tell me, you tell Chomi, that we could then live connect you through to another organization that is in that province and that district that could then help you. So, so absolutely, we have ideas and plans in place of how we expand this. This is just the beginning.
Cristianne, thank you very much for taking the time and leaving that impressive workshop to have a chat to us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And I just want to make sure everybody does have the number to Chomi. So just it's 082-229-6251. And you just save that in your WhatsApp. And all you have to do is say hi, put the number 1. It really doesn't matter what you enter, but that will activate Chomi. And then you will have the series of communications coming through that you respond to. So I really do encourage, if you're a survivor listening, if you are an individual who wants to learn more, if you are someone who just wants to explore or reach out and help a friend, please do connect on and explore Chomi. But thank you very much, Sam. We really appreciate the time.